everybody, here is Dr. Moustaki. Today we are going to talk about Sam, a horse that has symptoms that let us think that he has maybe problem with his respiratory system. But first, before explaining you everything, we are going to remind you what is respiratory system and how it is useful for the body of the animal.
The function of the respiratory system is to draw air into the lungs so that oxygen can be absorbed from the air sacs into the bloodstream and carbon dioxide can be eliminated. When a horse breathes in, contraction of the muscles between the ribs and in the diaphragm causes the chest cavity to expand and the lungs to fill with air. When these muscles relax, the air is exhaled. The normal respiratory rate is 8 to 16 breaths per minute. Air enters the nostrils and passes through the nasal passages. It is drawn into the nasopharynx and through the larynx into the trachea. The trachea runs down the underside of the neck in the midline and into the chest cavity, where it divides into two main bronchi. The bronchi divide into progressively smaller tubes. The finest airways are called bronchioles. Each bronchiole ends in a cluster of air sacs known as alveoli. The thin, elastic walls of the alveoli are in close contact with a network of capillaries. Capillaries are tiny, thin-walled blood vessels. Oxygen in the inhaled air diffuses from the alveoli into the blood. Here, it combines with hemoglobin in the red blood cells and is transported to the tissues. Carbon dioxide diffuses in the opposite direction and is exhaled. During its passage from the nostrils to the lungs, the air is warmed, moistened, and filtered. Inhaled dust and spores are trapped in a thin layer of mucus that lines the airways. The mucus is continually moved towards the pharynx by tiny hair-like projections on the epithelial cells. This is known as the mucociliary escalator. On reaching the pharynx, the debris is swallowed.
After this quick reminder, now we are going to explain to you what is the consequences if the respiratory system malfunctions.
When a horse succumbs to infectious or allergic respiratory disease, the quiet, relaxed pattern of breathing is disturbed. This is because the diameter of the airways is reduced by different factors, which are excessive production of mucus or pus, inflammation and swelling of the epithelial cells lining the airways, and spasm of the smooth muscles in the airway walls. More effort is needed to draw the same volume of air through the narrowed tubes, and gas exchange is less efficient. The smallest airways may become completely blocked. Prompt treatment is required to prevent permanent damage occurring to the delicate lung tissues. Diseases of the respiratory system include viral infections, bacterial infections, fungal infections, allergic respiratory disease, parasitic infections.
So now we are going to talk about the clinical examination. So first, the vet will talk with the owner in order to collect information about the daily life of the horse. After talking with the owner, the vet will examine the horse to collect physiological information about his health.
The vet's clinical examination of the horse may include observation of the rate and character of breathing while the horse is resting and relaxed, taking the temperature and listening to the chest with a stethoscope for any abnormal wheezing or crackling sounds, checking the heart, feeling for enlarged lymph nodes under the mandible, and observation of any nasal discharge. Then a discussion of the symptoms, such as coughing and altered exercise tolerance. On occasions, percussion may be done. This involves tapping the chest or sinuses to see if any areas sound less air-filled than normal, for example owing to fluid in the chest or sinus cavity. Where appropriate, samples will be taken for examination in the laboratory, like blood, swabs, feces, tracheal wash, and bronchoalveolar lavage.
Then, the last step will be the endoscopy. For now, it hasn't been done, but I will let you know about the information that has been found during this procedure. I hope you enjoyed this video.